I told you we'll be back, and we are back. Before the break, where you were trying to expound on a point on if withholding tax is a final tax. You said yes and no. Please expound on it.
First, when you're looking at withholding tax, we differentiate our taxpayers into two, resident and non-resident. Now, for residents, withholding tax is not a final tax. It's a method of collecting tax, like you tip the government, have done a service with this person. Whereas for non-residents, it is a final tax.
Okay, so if I'm not a Kenyan, if I'm charged that tax, that's it. I will not be charged another tax.
Now again, you're going to look at, do you have a permanent establishment or you don't have? If you have a permanent establishment, it will not be a final tax. But if you don't have, it will be a final tax.
Now, one might wonder, how does it work?
This is how withholding tax works. Somebody does a service for you. Then you, as the payer, you withhold a certain bit of it and you pay to the government. As soon as you've paid that tax to the government through KRA iTax, they send a withholding certificate to the receiver of the income. And that receiver gets credit. So when the receiver will be filing for his or her returns, will be using the withholding certificate.
And
it is available in the receiver's portal.
At what percentage is it charged for the different brackets that you just expounded?
Okay, so to expound on them, we shall draw kind of a table. Then on one end, we shall put resident, and another end, we shall put non-resident. For example, for management fee, for residents will be 5%, for non-resident will be 20%. Training fee for resident will be 5%, for non-resident will be 20%. Contractual fee for resident will be 3%, for non-resident will be 20%. However, for management, contractual and training fee, this amount needs to be more than 24,000 for it to qualify for withholding tax.
Okay.
So generally, the rates for non-residents are a bit higher compared to residents.
So what happens if I fail to pay?
If you're a withholding agent and you fail to pay, then there are some penalties that will accrue.
And what are those penalties?
Before we look at payment, there is something that we call the due date. With tax, if you fail to pay, to file your returns or remit by the due date, that is when a penalty accrues. So if you are to deduct tax, you're supposed to remit it on or before the 20th of the month following the deduction. So in the eventuality that you do not remit, you get a penalty of 20% of the amount. If the amount was 100,000, you get 20% of the 100,000 and an interest of 1% on the principal sum. Then failure to file returns at the end of the year also attracts a penalty of 100,000 or imprisonment for 6 months.
Okay. Now, when you've employed people, there's pay as you earn, and then now you've introduced withholding tax. How does it work in the employment setup?
So in the employment sector, your employer needs to know whether you are an employee or a consultant. An employee, you're there 8 to 5, he has a direct control over you. So if you're an employee, then basically it's supposed to be under pay as you earn. But if you're a consultant, does not have all that control over you and you come for some expertise, then you'll be charged with withholding tax. However, the amount needs to be more than 24,000 in such a case.
So what is the difference between withholding tax and VAT?
Withholding income tax, first and foremost, it is by any, it is deducted and remitted by any person for as long as there is a transaction, whereas with VAT, you have to be an appointed VAT agent.
And what informs the appointment of that agent?
For you to be appointed as a VAT agent, you don't make an application, rather you just receive an appointment from KRA, and this person must be somebody who is tax compliant. You've filed all your returns till date and you've paid all the taxes due, then should be someone who has voluminous transactions. And when we're looking at someone, we look at both individual people and corporates. So you're very tax compliant and you have voluminous transactions.
Now, what category of taxpayers should register for VAT, and what's the process of registering?
Any person who is doing business with either taxable goods or services and expects the turnover in the next 12 months to be more than 5 million is capable of registering for VAT. However, for those taxpayers whose turnover is less than 55 million, you have a projection that your turnover will be less than 5 million, you can still choose to voluntarily register under VAT, especially if you want to do tenders like for government. And registration for VAT is done online through a portal called iTax.
Now, what are some of the timelines for filing VAT, and are there any penalties when you fail to do so?
VAT timeline is on or before 20th of the following month. This is to mean that for all transactions that this VAT taxpayer has done between 1st to 30th of November, the returns should be filed and any taxes paid on or before 20th. And in the eventuality that you don't file your returns and pay any tax due by 20th, then you get a late filing penalty of 10,000 shillings, then late payment of tax of 5% of the tax due, and an interest of 1% per month on the principal sum.
What are some of the disputes that you see at KRA arising from both withholding tax and VAT tax?
A lack of understanding between the two. Like for most people, let me now talk about taxpayers. For most taxpayers, they tend to think that withholding tax is a final tax. So they feel like once my payer withheld 5% and paid, that is the end of it. But it is not a final tax. So you're supposed to, at the end of the day, you pay the balance of tax. So that's some of the disputes. They say, this is double taxation. I already paid for it.
Okay, any final remarks with regards to maybe the person who's watching and is trying to figure out a way how to navigate all these different tax brackets that exist in the country?
Yeah, KRA, we are trying to facilitate our taxpayers. If you feel like you do not understand anything, you can always visit our website. It is up to date. Further still, you can call us on our numbers 0711 099 999, or you can send us an email to callcenter@kra.go.ke and your questions will be answered. Also, there is a division taxpayer education that we conduct education forums on a daily basis. You can always write to us or call us and we'll invite you to the next forum. We have forums based on the taxes, so if you have an issue to do with VAT, we can invite you to that forum and together we can learn so that tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
Great. Now, my director has one final request. You know, he's an expatriate. He's in Kenya and he's in Tanzania at the same time. He has some tax queries,
Yeah.
so he's requesting you share at least your Instagram handle. He'll DM you with all his questions.
Do you have?
What?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, sorry, bad joke.
I didn't
Anyway,
hear
thank
you.
you very much for making time.
Welcome.
Okay, that's all the time we had for you. Matters tax, we keep it short and sweet so that you have a clear picture of what it is, how you can go about it, the penalties that will be levied on you if you don't pay. The last time I was standing in for Simba, one of my clients had asked for my KRA PIN, only for me to realize that it was my time to build the country, 7% off. But, you know, we take solace in the fact that we're building the country, you know. So when you're going out there negotiating for your contracts, just know if you're a permanent employee, your taxes are different. If you're on consulting, if you're on contractual basis, your taxes are different. And every single morning on this show, Simba and the whole production team are dedicated to ensuring that you understand the tax policies in this country, the different tax brackets that you fall in, so you can pay your taxes in time. If you have disputes, you know how to go about them. And you can also file for waivers. There are always waivers at the KRA website if you have a solid reason to file for those. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this with you since 7 a.m. to now. We leave you in the able hands of the next team that will be taking over. But for me and the whole Business AM crew, thank you very much for watching. Have a good morning.